Welcome back. In this new video, I'm going to be sharing the story of Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall was one of the world's most revered conservationists who earned scientific stature and global celebrity by chronicling the distinctive behavior of wild chimpanzees in East Africa, primates that made and used tools, ate meat, held rain dances, and engaged in organized warfare. Died on Wednesday in Los Angeles. She was 91. At that, while on a speaking tour was confirmed by the Jane Goodall Institute, whose United States headquarters in Washington, D.C. When not traveling widely, she lived in Bournemouth on the south coast of England in her childhood home. Dr. Goodall, was 29 in the summer of 1963 when National Geographic magazine published a 7,500 word, 37-page account of the lives of primates she had observed in the Gombe Stream Chimpanzees Reserve in what is now Tanzania. The National Geographic Society had been financially supporting her field studies there. On the scientific merit alone, her discoveries about how wild chimpanzees raise their young, established leadership, socialized, and communicated, broke new ground and attracted immense attention and respect among researchers. Stephen Jay Gould, the evolutionary biologist and science historian, said a work with chimpanzees represent one of the Western world's great scientific achievements. On learning of Dr. Goodall's documented evidence that humans were not the only creature capable of making and using tools, Louis Leakey, the paleontologist and paleanthropologist and Dr. Goodall's mentor famously remarked, "Now we must redefine men or accept chimpanzees as humans." Long before focus group, message discipline, and communication plans became crucial tools in advancing high-profile careers and alerting the world to significant discoveries in and outside the science. Dr. Goodall understood the benefit of being the principal narrator and star of her own story of discovery. In articles and books, her lucid prose carried vivid description, some light-hearted, of the numerous perils she encountered in African rainforest: malaria, leopards, crocodile, spitting cobras, and the deadly giant centipedes, to name just a few of them. A writing gained its widest attention in three more long articles in National Geographic in the 1960s and the 70s, and in three well-received books: My Friends, the Wild Chimpanzees, 1967, In the Shadow of a Man, 1971, and Through a Window in 1990. Dr. Goodall's willingness to challenge scientific convention and shape the details of her research into riveting adventure narrative about two primary subjects, the chimps and herself, turned her into a household name, in no small part thanks to the power of television. Dr. Goodall, gentle, knowledgeable demeanor and telegenic presence set against the beautiful yet dangerous Gombe preserve and its playful and unpredictable primates provide irresistible to the broadcast network. In December 1965, CBS News aired a documentary on her work in prime time, the first in a long string of nationally and internationally televised special reports about the chimpanzees of Gombe and the courageous women steadfastly chronicling what she called their rich emotional life. In becoming one of the most famous scientists of the 20th century, Dr. Goodall also opened the door for more women in a largely male field as well as across all of science. Women, including Diane Fossey, Birute Galdikas, Cheryl Knott, and Penny Patterson, came to dominate the field of primate behavior research. Most of Dr. Goodall's observation focused on several generations of a troop of 30 to 40 chimpanzees, the species genetically close to humans. She named some of them Flo, Fifi, David, Greybeard, and grew to know each of them personally. She was particularly interested in their courtship, mating rituals, birth, and parenting. Dr. Goodall was the first scientist to explain to the world that chimpanzees mothers are capable of giving birth only once every 4.5 to 6 years, and that only one of two babies were produced each year by the Gombe Stream troop. She found that first-time mothers generally hid their babies from the adult males, prompting frantic displays by the males, leaping and hooting that could last 5 minutes, and experienced mother, however, she discovered freely allowed males and other females to view her infant, satisfying their curiosity in a far calmer introduction. In her many articles, books, and documentaries, Dr. Goodall explores similar signal moments in her own life. In March 1964, after nearly year-long courtship, she married Mr. Van Lowick. 2 years later, she gave birth of Hugo Eric Louis Van Lowick, her only child, whom she nicknamed Grab. But even there, she drew connection to her work in the field. She explained that a parenting philosophy and strategy were based on skill and values that she had learned from the chimpanzees, particularly the sure-ended matriarch of the troop, whom she named Flo. Nevertheless, she kept Grab in a protective cage while she was in the forest with him. She feared that he might be killed and eaten by the chimps. Dr. Goodall's ability to weave scientific observation with the story of her own life produced a powerful drama filled with characters of all ages, sexes, and species. She once told a scientific meeting that a work would have had far less resonance scientifically or emotionally if she had just referred to the proud and confident chimp known as David Greenberg by a number, as was the usual practice. In the 1970s, Dr. Goodall began to spend less time observing chimpanzees and far more time seeking to protect them and their disappearing habitat. She made known her opposition to capturing wild chimpanzees for display in zoos or for medical research, and she traveled the world, drawing large audiences with a message of hope and confidence that the world would recognize the importance of preserving its natural resources. In the 1970s were also a period of upheaval in her personal life. In 1974, she divorced Mr. Van Lowick and soon afterward married Derek Bryceson, the director of the national parks in Tanzania. He died of cancer in 1980, a time she later said was perhaps the most difficult on her life. She established the Jane Goodall Institute in 1977. It evolved into one of the world's large non-profit global research and conservation organizations, with offices in the United States and 24 other nations. In Roots and Shoots program, launched in 1991, teaches young people about conservation in the 75 countries. In honor of her work, Tanzania, in 1978, designated the Gombe Stream Reserve a national park. Dr. Goodall's Institute maintains a research station there that attracts students and scientists from around the world. In 2002, the United Nations named Dr. Goodall a messenger of peace, the United Nations' highest honor for global citizenship. Valerie J. Morris Goodall was born in London on April 4, 1934, and grew up in the Bournemouth as the older of two girls of Margaret Maifangwi Joseph Goodall, who was known as Van, and Mortimer Herbert Morris Goodall. Her mother was an author and a novelist who wrote under the name of Van Morris Goodall. Her father was an engineer who raised cars for a time. The couple divorced after World War II. Van Goodall accompanied her daughter to the Gombe Reserve at the start of Dr. Goodall's famous study in 1960, and was a leading character in much of her daughter's writing. As a little girl, Jane adored Tarzan Jane, Dr. Dolittle, and a little stuffed monkey doll, a gift from her father that she named Jubilee. Indeed, in her public appearances, Dr. Goodall almost always described her scientific findings and her international renown as a fortunate convergence of her childhood love of animals and Africa with an inquisitive and adventurous nature. In 1956, after finishing a course in secretarial school and taking several jobs in London, she received a letter from a friend whose family owned a farm near Nairobi in Kenya. The friend invited her to join her. Dr. Goodall jumped at the opportunity, booking passage on a flight to Africa. She arrived in Nairobi, Kenya capital, on her 23rd birthday. She was soon introduced to other expatriate Englishmen and women in Nairobi, as well as Dr. Leakey, at the time a prominent but not yet international renowned archaeologist. 7 weeks after her arrival, she began work as Dr. Leakey's secretary and assistant. Dr. Goodall accompanied him that summer to the Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, a 3-day trip of trackless wilderness where he was in the early phases of excavating early human remains. He often talked about his interest in stationing a researcher on Lake Tanganyika to study a troop of wild chimpanzees that lived there. Those discussions led to an agreement with Dr. Goodall that she would take on that mission. On July 14, 1960, accompanied by a mother, she arrived at Gombe, and 3 months later she watched as the big, handsome adult male chimp she named David Greybeard did something no human have ever expected of an animal. He was squatting beside the red earth mound of a termite nest, and as I watched, I saw him carefully push a long grass stem down into a hole in the mound. She wrote. After a moment, he withdrew it and picked something from the end of it with his mouth. It was obvious that he was actually using a grass stem as a tool. Recognizing the contribution she was making to science, the University of Cambridge accepted her into a doctoral program in 1961. Without an undergraduate degree, she was awarded a doctorate in 1965. Dr. Goodall wrote 32 books, 15 of them for children. In her last book, The Book of Hope, a survival guide for trying times, she wrote of her optimism about the future of humankind. It was a message she continued to spread in her frequent public speaking engagement around the world, traveling some 300 days a year into the last decades, according to her institute. When she died on Wednesday, she had been scheduled to speak to students in Pasadena, California, and to participate in tree planting ceremony in an area that had been ravaged by wildfires. Many awards include the National Geographic Society Hubbard Medal, presented in 1995, and the Templeton Prize given in 2021. In 2003, Queen Elizabeth II named her a dame, or a dame maybe a dame, of the British Empire. If I mispronounce this word, please, I beg your pardon. In January, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the United States' highest civilian honor, by President Joseph Biden. She is survived by her son, her sister, Judy Waters, and 3 grandchildren. In July 22, Mattel released a Jane Goodall doll as part of its Barbie-branded Inspiring Women series. The doll, with blonde hair and dressed in a tan-filled shirt and short, is made of recycled plastic. It honored the 62nd anniversary of Dr. Goodall's first visit to Gombe Reserve. Since young girls began reading about my early life and my career with the chimps, many of them have told me that they went into conservation or animal behavior because of me. Mrs. Goodall once said in a CBS News interview, "I sincerely hope that it will help to create more interest and fascination in the natural world." I just want to finish this beautiful story with some Dr. Jane Goodall quotes. "The greatest danger to our future is apathy. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference. And what you have to decide what kind of a difference, and you have to decide what kind of a difference you want to make. We have the choice to use the gift of our life to make the world a better place or not to bother. Only if we understand can we care. Only if we care, we will help. Only if we will help, we shall be saved. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane Goodall, for your extraordinary accomplishment and your life. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. See you in the next video.